Hey everybody, it's William Green. These are my green pets. Nice to see you. It is a balmy, can I see the thermometer? 20.6 degrees C in the tent, 80% humidity. That's gonna drop quickly now that I've got the door open to it. But let's look at Bulbo Lovely Elizabeth. She is just past her full bloom. She was just opened up this last spike in the back here yesterday or 2 days ago. Yesterday it was fully open, and then on the same day, this spike started to dry up. So that is it. I actually tried to pollinate this little flower in here, but it did not take. So just a beautiful plant. Look at this guy. Wow. Just beautiful. This one's starting to dry up too. Right behind Lovely Elizabeth, we've got, look at these guys. My Cattleyas types on the right, Mormodia Jumbo World. Two nice little spikes. The one on the left looks like it's going to have about 10 flowers. The one on the right is well over 20, probably 23 or so flowers on that little guy. I've had to keep propping it up higher and higher so that the spike doesn't touch the ground there. Looking really nice. Next to it, Fredclarkeara Desert Davison. Quite different from last week, huh? Look how many leaves it's dropped. They just fall right off, too. No prompting from me. I've also had to keep picking this one up higher and higher on a balancing act. You can see these two really nice spikes. Looks like over 15 flowers on each of those, so those are going to be really cool, and I'm just not sure how much further down those are going to stretch. I might have to pick that one up even more. Looks like it's a real possibility. I was looking in the AOS awards, and it looks like this plant, there is an awarded one, but it didn't have as many flowers as this one, so I think that our local judging center in Denver is doing judging, but I need to check and see. Love to take these guys in. But, you know, also got to consider these guys are going to be blooming right around the holidays, and very possible that we won't be able to get them judged. Right next to it, we've got Signota's Wine Delight, finally showing some yellowing on that bottom right leaf there, and I'm hoping that will continue. I gave it a really good flush with pure water last week, and I am done watering it. It bloomed, it did its thing, and now it is time to sleep. So sleep it shall. Cattleyas still teasing me. Nothing so far. Hopefully we'll get some kind of flower spikes pushing out. It's not Country Girl. This is Jessie Lee. Jessie Lee's been in bloom for 6 weeks. Not these flowers. It started with another spike, but we've been enjoying her flowers for 6 weeks so far, and that's great. Love it. Now, next to her, this is Dendrobium Country Girl, and look at the spike. Look at the progress on the spikes since last week. A lot of those buds, those little nubbins, have turned into flower buds. Some of them have as many as 3. So excited about those. There's another one back here. Look at those, don't they look nice? I can't focus and hold the leaves out of the way. Wonderful, right? Those probably need a good 2 weeks at least to keep to open up. All right, now some really exciting news. Guess who has decided to bloom? Oh yes, Bulbo medusae has gotten her act together, and look at this. Her flowers are starting to open up. Can you believe it? So moody, this plant. So I have a theory. As I told you last week, okay, now this thing has got an autofocus and I don't know how to turn it off. Okay, there we go. So if you'll recall last week, I said I had talked with the with In Situ Orchids, and that's where I got this plant on eBay about 7 years ago, 2014, 6 years ago. And he said that when they get really compact, when they get really lots of bulbs in a small area, they tend not to bloom well. And I said, okay, well, what does that mean? So I decided, well, heck, I've been watering it every day. I'm going to lay off the water. And I stopped watering, and 3 days later, the spikes started pushing out. So, coincidence? Maybe. Don't know. But anyway, I'm glad to see her opening up. It's so fascinating to see the flowers untangle themselves. It's really quite amazing. They come out as such a mess, and then before you know it, they're untangling themselves and hanging beautifully. Let's see. Hal, as always, putting in another spike, or another flower. And there's one here as well. And going over here. Looking okay. I'd love to see some new growth on you, Hal. Maybe in the spring, possibly. Cattleya maxima. I held a light up to the back of this sheath yesterday night and did not see anything. So, it's okay. I have a feeling we will see something. It's just a question of when. Lots of nice new growth on this. Love this plant. I have a feeling this was a seedling compote that wasn't very well separated, and that there are 2 or maybe even 3 individual plants in there. So I'm going to be chopping that thing up in the spring. Let's see. Half Prime Child lost one of its flowers a couple weeks ago. Still got 2 on there. And the plant itself, it is right underneath the fan. Oh, I gotta show you what I did here. So, the fan was, the air was coming down in this really strong column of air and just kind of blasting whatever was underneath it. So I couldn't really have a plant right underneath it because the air current was so strong. So what I did was I just kind of cut open this 2-liter bottle in a kind of a open fan shape to kind of disperse the air, so that when it blows straight, even though the fan is blowing straight down, this kind of diffuses it out. And yeah, I could probably work on the shape a little bit. It's kind of wonky, but it does the job, believe it or not. When I put my hand down here, you can see, even though the air's blowing right here, yeah, it's you can feel it. It's a good current of air, but it's not the same strength it was, and that's all I needed to do, was just diffuse that air out. And I can feel it a little bit more. When I look around the tent, I see things blowing around all over the tent and not just in that one column of air. So, so far so good on that. Last night, oh my gosh, look, I'm gonna see you in real time here. Look at this. You see this little guy? So last night I come in and I'm just looking in the dark, and this plant is Cattleyas rex, which is mounted, and the mount is in a plastic pot. It was covered in snails. I picked 10 off, And as you can see, there's just one right there I just found, which I will be picking off shortly. In fact, I should probably get it right now so I don't miss it. Yeah. And, yeah, I noticed lots of snail damage. You can see on this little root here, that is snail damage. You can see it's been chewed on. Luckily, it didn't go for the tip, but eventually they will. Now on this root here, look at that. This one chewed off, and there's several other ones. So some people have said, "Oh, did you get a new plant?" I'm like, no, guys. I have had snails in my collection for 7 years. They tend to live in here. It's a really nice place for them. They also tend to live in here. In that bark. They love that bark. They do not seem to like clay. I haven't found them in the clay pots yet. I can see why maybe they don't like clay, because it kind of dries them out as they crawl across it. I have not, knock on wood, fingers crossed, haven't seen any damage in the clay yet. But the plants in plastic are at risk. You can see this little Cattleyas rex. I just repotted it recently, and I am waiting for it to put out new roots. You can see a few starting there. This is when the plant is at its most vulnerable to snails, because if they come and chew off those root tips that are just starting out, the plant won't try to put out more. It might try to put out a couple more, but if those get chewed off, it's done. That first major flush of roots is the plant's best chance for rooting. So fingers crossed this guy will get established before the snails find it. I was hoping that the increased air would discourage the snails, but apparently they just like this corner. You know, you can imagine down deep in this pot, they don't have to worry about air currents. It's moist. I should just let them dry out a little bit more. It's supposed to be dry season, but I'm not doing a very good job. I can't help watering all the time. I love to water. Rex seedlings. Doing okay. Again, vulnerable to snails. Hopefully they won't find them. We got a little new root pushing out. Very cute. New leaf over here. Blossfeldiana, love looking at these hybrid seedlings go into town. Look at the new roots coming down here on this guy. Wow. Hybrids, I'm telling you. Primary hybrid. Then we have the Dowianas. Also with some new roots. Little green roots pushing out there. Oh, look at that. Look at those little roots. Hi. Here too. Yes. I hadn't even looked at them this closely yet. Oh, that is exactly what we want to see. New roots. My paths. Let's see here. We got Path Michael Kopowitz on the left. It's actually had some pretty serious rot for the past couple years. I am hoping that being right here under the air is going to help with that. I gave it a very, very, very deep treatment with Phyton 27, which is supposed to be really good against, it's a fungicide, bactericide. So far so good, but who knows. Next to it, Path callosum. It had multiple growths. This front growth looks like it's done though. However, that back growth seems to be taken off okay, so hopefully that's alright. And then behind it we've got Path villosum. Now this is the time of year Path villosum should be blooming, but it's still kind of a small, runty, recovering plant. It is actually has got vigorous genetics, but I have abused it over the years. And last year it tried to put out 2 flowers and it only managed to bloom one of them. The other one kind of shriveled up. So it's in recovery mode, but it seems to be okay. Hopefully. Alright, well, a little bit longer of an episode today. I appreciate you guys stopping by to check on my green pets. I will definitely keep you updated. Medusae will probably be totally bloomed out in the next 2 to 3 days. So I'll make sure to capture that because she'll probably be done by the time next week rolls around, next weekend. But I wish all of you happy growing, and yeah, thanks a lot for checking out my green pets. I'm William Green. See you later.